sell stuff to put up their noses and do an honest day's work. It just beats all. Outside, I could see Cassie Young returning her radio to her pocket. Now, shading her eyes with one hand, she called up to Goldfarb, where he remained enthroned on the boom.
"The Sharp says they're still working on the body. It isn't ready yet."
"Well, what the hell do you call that? It's right in the way of the next shot. Now get it out of there, for God's sake. What do you think I pay you for? And where's Derek's stuntman? I need him now." Goldfarb had pointed toward a spot in the water near where steep wooden steps led up the wing wall of the dry dock. He'd been using the boom to shoot a fight scene on the narrow steps, with the Navy minesweeper Pledge looming in the background. Two of the movie's name-brand stars, Derek Parker and Hannah Boyer, still clung to 2x4 handrails some 20 feet above the solid planking of the pier. As the entire crew jumped in response to Goldfarb's barked commands, Cassie Young carefully picked her way across a snarled tangle of electrical cords toward the place Goldfarb had indicated. I didn't much like Cassie. She was a scrawny, red-haired post-adolescent who went in big for the spiked new wave look. She wore a thick layer of white pancake makeup. Her eyelashes dripped with heavy black mascara. She could easily have been mistaken for a refugee from a school for mimes. Looking at her made me grateful she wasn't my daughter, although she and Kelly were probably much the same age. Cassie and I had crossed swords on numerous occasions during the course of my 2-week stint of involuntary servitude on the set of Death in Dry Dock. I had a tough time taking her seriously. The feeling was mutual. According to Captain Powell, my main assignment as technical advisor was to make sure Goldfarb didn't portray the Seattle Police Department as, quote, a bunch of stupid jerks, close quote. I had quickly learned, however, that trying to tell Sam Goldfarb anything he didn't want to hear was like talking to a brick wall. Every time he had his pretend cops doing something unbelievably stupid, I squawked bloody murder, for all the good it did me. Cassie Young didn't mince any words in letting me know that I was to keep those opinions to myself. I was a technical advisor, all right, in name only. For the past week, I had called Captain Powell every morning at 8 o'clock, begging him to let me off the hook and pull me from the assignment. No such luck. He kept telling me that the mayor wanted me on the set, and on the set I'd stay. Still mildly interested in whatever had plucked Goldfarb's nerves, I watched as Cassie reached the edge of the dock and knelt down to peer over the side. Her knees had barely touched the wood when she sprang back as though she'd been burned. She covered her mouth with one hand, but still the muffled sound that escaped her lips was as blood-curdling a scream as I'd heard in years. The wrenching sound echoed back and forth through the otherwise eerily silent wooden buildings. For days I'd lurked in the background of the process, staying out of the way of cameras and equipment. Now the sound of Cassie's scream galvanized me to action. No matter what, I'm first and foremost a cop. In emergencies, we're trained to react. It's a conditioned response, as natural as breathing. Without giving it a second thought, I started toward Cassie on a dead run, ignoring the quick stab of pain in my injured heel.
"Quiet on the set,"
someone boomed through a megaphone. But Cassie kept on screaming, pointing hysterically toward the water. I reached her and grabbed her by the shoulders just as the megaphone boomed again.
"For God's sake, somebody catch Hannah. She's going to fall."
Cassie barfed then. I managed to swing her away from me just in time. Then I held her by the waist while she heaved her guts out on the dock. Between barfing and screaming, I prefer the latter. At last, Cassie straightened up and leaned heavily against me, while her whole body quivered with terrible shudders. I held her, patting her gently on the back, soothing her as best I could, while I attempted to peer over her shoulder and see into the water, but we were too far from the edge of the dock. The angle was wrong. "What is it?" I demanded finally, holding her at arm's length. "What's down there?" Shaking her head from side to side, she seemed totally incapable of speech. But as soon as I took a step toward the edge of the dock,